10 richest players in NFL. The NFL reception has grown over the years, and as expected, there was a surge in the salary of the players. A number of players have created success in the NFL that affords them the opportunity to live very extravagant lifestyles. We're talking about fortunes worth over hundreds of millions of dollars to over $1 billion. We'll be checking out the richest players in the NFL and how they built their fortunes. Spoiler alert, you'll be seeing a lot of quarterbacks, but the top seat isn't held by one. Number 10. Eli Manning. The former quarterback followed in the footsteps of his brother Peyton and father Archie and established an excellent career for himself in the NFL, retiring with 2 Super Bowl rings on his fingers. It is no surprise that he retired as the league's highest-earning player in 2020 with an annual salary of $18 million. So how did the quarterback amass his $160 million fortune? He started his 16-season career with a 6-year, $45 million contract in 2004 with the New York Giants. After leading the team to win his very first Super Bowl victory in 2007, he got another contract in 2009 worth $97.5 million, which was more than twice the value of his initial contract. His annual earnings from the sport weren't his only income, as he got earnings from his various endorsements with brands such as Toyota, Kraft, Gatorade, and Samsung. Despite his amassed fortune, Manning keeps a modest taste in rides and drives a hybrid Cadillac Escalade won at the Super Bowl and a Toyota Sequoia. Number 9. Drew Brees. Brees started his career really well with the San Diego Chargers in 2001, but he later had to move to New Orleans in 2006 and led the team to a 10-6 record and the NFC Championship in the same year. Just 3 years after this feat, he led the team to a Super Bowl victory and won the game's Most Valuable Player award. He tied a Super Bowl record with 32 pass completions. Throughout his career, he broke several NFL records and even set his own record. He broke Johnny Unitas' record for most consecutive games with a touchdown pass in 2012, Brett Favre's record for a single-season passing yardage in 2018, Peyton Manning's record of career touchdown passes in 2012, and ultimately became the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 5,000 yards for 4 separate seasons. So how much has the accomplished quarterback amassed over the years? Drew Brees currently has a $160 million net worth tied to his name, all thanks to his high earnings from the game as well as endorsements and bonuses gotten over the years. In fact, in his first 2 decades in the sport, his overall earnings from just his salary totaled about $250 million. Number 8. Russell Wilson. Denver Broncos quarterback is currently one of the highest-paid players in the sport with an annual salary of $35 million. With a cool $175 million tied to his name, Wilson has had a pretty excellent career over the years. In 2015, he signed a 4-year contract at about $87.6 million. This Seattle Seahawks contract came with a guaranteed sum of $60 million, as well as a signing bonus of $31 million. In 2016, he signed another contract with the team for the same period, but for $140 million this time around. The signing bonus that came with it was more than double, summing up to $65 million. Then the guaranteed money from the deal was about $107 million. At the point when Wilson signed this contract, it was the highest deal in NFL history. Number 7. Aaron Rodgers. Decorated with a Super Bowl ring, Aaron Rodgers has built himself a very comfortable fortune over the years. He was initially backing up Brett Favre and Green Bay Packers up until Favre's retirement, upping him to a starting quarterback in 2008. This was the beginning of his lucrative career as he went on to lead the team to win a Super Bowl a few years after and even earned the Super Bowl MVP. His talent by no means dwindled over the years as he was voted Associated Press NFL Most Valuable Player Award for 2 years in 2020 and 2022. With a current annual salary of $50 million and multiple expensive endorsements, Rodgers has built himself a $200 million fortune. In 2021, he garnered about $9 million for just brand endorsements and got endorsements tagged as one of the richest endorsement deals in NFL. How did he get to a $50 million annual salary? After winning his first Super Bowl, he signed a 5-year, $110 million contract in 2013, which made him the highest paid player then. Then in 2018, he signed a 4-year, $134 million contract, out of which $103 was guaranteed to continue his stay with the Packers. Then in March, it became known that Rodgers had signed a 4-year extension contract with the Packers for a cool $200 million. Number 6. Steve Young. So how exactly did the football player turned businessman build his $200 million fortune? The retired quarterback started out in the United States Football League, also known as the USFL, with the Los Angeles Express, but this didn't last long as the team in the league eventually crumbled. Therefore, Young had no choice but to join the NFL, starting with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which was pretty terrible then. He later moved on to the San Francisco 49ers as a backup to Joe Montana. He was later promoted to the starting QB when Montana got injured, but it didn't last long as he was replaced by Steve Bono after he got injured as well. He was on the verge of being traded before he later showed his worth as a solid QB for the 49ers after he led the team to win a Super Bowl in 1994. His career finally ended in 1999 due to multiple concussions suffered over the years. After his retirement, he plunged into the business world and built an equity firm with Robert C. Gay and John M. Huntsman in 2007 called Huntsman Gay Global Capital, where he currently serves as the managing director. He sometimes appears as an anchor in multiple TV shows. When he was a regular face on Monday Night Football, he was paid $2 million annually. Number 5. John Madden. The late head coach of the Raiders might be one of the few football players that didn't play as a quarterback but made the list. Madden played offensive and defensive lines during his playing days and later wound up being the popular head coach of the Raiders. At his passing, his net worth was an awesome $200 million. Impressively, a large part of his fortune didn't even come from his career as a player or as a coach, even though he was making about $8 million annually at one point. Rather, it came from royalties and a deal he signed with EA Sports for Madden NFL Football, a football video game. Number 4. Peyton Manning. And we are back to the next quarterback on the list. Peyton Manning is undeniably one of the best QBs the NFL has witnessed. He might currently have a net worth of $250 million, but the quarterback has earned almost $600 million in his career from both salary earnings and endorsements. He holds the record for most consecutive seasons with over 4,000 yards passing, as well as the most total seasons with 4,000 or more yards passing. In endorsements alone, the QB gamers about $25 million a year. His other ventures include writing a book with his father, voicing an episode for The Simpsons, and acting as a host for shows and awards. Number 3. Tom Brady. The iconic quarterback is mostly referred to as the greatest quarterback of all time, recording about 243 career wins. Decorated with 7 Super Bowl rings, it is no surprise that Brady is worth about $250 million. Currently a proud winner of 3 NFL MVP awards and 4 Super Bowl MVP awards, Brady is currently on a 2-year contract worth $50 million with Tampa Bay Bucks after turning down a higher contract from the Patriots. By the end of his 2-year contract, the iconic quarterback would have earned about $400 million from his NFL career, after earning about $230 in his first 20 years in the sport. His hefty fortune is not just about his NFL salary and bonuses, as the quarterback has earned about $150 from endorsements alone. Number 2. Roger Staubach. Roger Staubach might have been a former quarterback, but his NFL career didn't even yield a tiny fraction of his current $600 million net worth. This was the case largely because Staubach played in an era where the NFL didn't pay that much. Even after a Super Bowl victory, his annual salary amounted to just $75,000. So how did he build his fortune? Thankfully, Staubach didn't rely on his NFL career and ventured out into the real estate business. During his off-season period, he started working with Henry S. Miller Company, and he eventually built his own commercial real estate business and named it the Staubach Company. And in 2008, he made the big decision to sell the company. The Staubach Company was sold for around $613 million. Number 1. Jerry Richardson. For a list largely dominated by quarterbacks, well, it is a pleasant surprise to see a former wide receiver top the list. Jerry Richardson is currently worth a shocking sum of $2 billion. How exactly did he make this sum? You didn't guess wrong if you assumed it didn't come from his NFL career. His current worth might not include his NFL player earnings, but his empire was actually built on his NFL earnings. A well-spent $4,744 bonus check grew out to yield a colossal fortune. Richardson received a bonus check after the Baltimore Colts won the championship, and he started a fast food chain which turned out to be Hardee's first franchise with Charlie Bradshaw. His chain, Flagstar Foods, grew out to have about 100,000 people in its employ and about 2,500 restaurants. Then, Richardson stepped up to take another huge step which yielded billions. He bought the rights to start the team with just about $206 million. Then, in 2018, he sold the Panthers out for about $2.3 billion. With football increasing in popularity, we might be getting more players on the list in a couple of years. What player has the potential of joining the list or climbing up in worth? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for tuning in.